fire, 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 fire. I can't wait. This is so cool, man. I love shitting on Scientology. Chat, strap in. I've read so much about this. I watched the South Park episode like at least 5 times about Scientology. This is what they unironically believe.
The cheek-to-cheek smile combined with the empty, soulless eyes, the attention to detail, the perfect hair, the perfect jawline, the perfect appearance. This is just a facade to convince the world he is this successful, happy-go-lucky guy who is actually extremely disturbed and thinks about harming others 24/7. This is what a psychopath looks like. But this is a fictional character played by actor Christian Bale in the
Apparently American Psycho is a over-dramatization of how psychos think, but it's a really good over-dramatization.
Movie American Psycho, and Bale said that the inspiration for this character was the real-life Tom Cruise.
Okay, that I did not know. I've seen American Psycho. I had no idea. Real-life inspiration for Patrick Bateman. What? Tom Cruise. No. While Patrick Bateman is a fictional character, Christian Bale, who played him in American Psycho, drew inspiration for his portrayal from Tom Cruise's intense friendliness with nothing behind his eyes. I had no idea!
Whose empty laugh, intensity, and robotic physical movements are on full display in this 1996 interview with Rosie O'Donnell.
Because you saw her in Dead Calm, right?
Oh my god, this is so
And you
old.
thought, I like her.
Yeah, I thought she's very talented.
Yeah, she is talented. The new movie's supposed to be great.
His laugh kills me! Oh my god!
Yeah, she's
There's one really famous interview I gotta show you.
I know, she's
Just a
looking
couple
forward
days, yeah. No, I like her, I do, it's okay. It's Renee I was upset with. It's Renee in the movie with all that...
His laugh, dude, I don't know.
And,
He's crazy!
he said, so, like, have you met an SP?
Why is he whispering?
I looked at him, you know, and I thought, oh, what a beautiful thing, because maybe one day it'll be like that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe one day...
He's laughing at his own jokes, bro.
Wow, SPs, like, they'll just read about those in the history books, you know?
He's a joker, chat. He's
Thing
a
is, I just
joker.
go through that tech and it's area.
This one right here.
Kissing with you, Tom, I
He's
didn't
a
like
lizard!
However, the actual interview that inspired the American Psycho character was this one with David Letterman, where Tom Cruise laughed uncontrollably while telling the story of him cutting off his co-pilot's oxygen as they flew to dangerous altitude levels.
What?
We were flying to Colorado, and
I've
I was
never
flying this
seen
airplane
this.
and we
Hold
had to go on oxygen, and winds were better at a higher altitude, so we climbed up, and I realized that we couldn't stay at that altitude if on oxygen. I had to descend because I didn't have enough oxygen. So I had a passenger in the back, so we figured out, you know, me and the co-pilot, that if we turned the oxygen off in the back guy, that we could make it at this altitude. So we, you know, it wasn't dangerous or anything, you know.
Why is the audience laughing with him, bro?
He was very quiet. He felt...
Letterman didn't seem to think this story was as funny as Tom thought it was.
Okay, but hold on. Why in God's name is the audience laughing? Is following the sign? I guess so, but it's like, what the fuck? I wouldn't laugh.
He fell asleep.
Yeah, so like, I took a smuggler and we were flying through the sky and we were running out of oxygen. And then I had to cut that smuggler's oxygen mask, and then he was like dying, and it was like, it was so funny.
He slept the whole way.
Yeah, my little smuggler, man.
But you know, it's the kind of guy you wanted to have him sleep the whole way. You know, it's like just.
But honestly, looking at it from another direction, isn't that attempted manslaughter? He's just turning guy's oxygen off. You're lucky you're not doing time, for the love of God.
He's like trying to be serious. He's like, nah.
He did wake up, yeah.
You know, when we were landing on descent, he.
Bro, he's crazy.
As the passenger blacked out after being oxygen deprived for several minutes, Tom finds it hysterical how
you can get brain damage from that, by the way.
confused the man was when he regained consciousness, feeling numb and disoriented.
My hands are.
Dude, imagine if they cut the sound, like the laugh track off. What if the people didn't laugh and he's just laughing? And nobody else is, like the sign doesn't light up.
He said my. Jeez, my hands. My hands are your all's hands.
He
said my hands are tingling. I slept the whole. I said, must have been the way I was laying.
Now, some people look at this as nothing more than dark humor. The guy was fine. It was just a harmless prank. But maybe Christian Bale was actually onto something. And no, I'm not suggesting
so.
Tom Cruise is actually a
Christian Bale's like a really good actor too. He might have just seen it for what it was.
serial murderer or enjoys the suffering of others, but he does have an obvious dark side. One that seems to be ignored by the masses. While they praise him for his box office hits and incredible stunts, Tom credits Scientology as the reason why he is so successful.
One of the big indicators of people who are psychos, by the way, I do mean this in the nicest way possible, because 1 in 8 people are undiagnosed psychopaths in America. And that doesn't mean that they can't function in normal society. They just don't know that they are one because they don't know what it's like to be normal. Yeah, like you're not a killer. You're not gonna go and kill someone. It's just that you're a psycho. Like, you're a psychopath. You're crazy. It's okay. It's fine. Just don't kill anyone, please.
Scientology is the quote-unquote religion that thrives on forced labor, signing its members to—
Oh, what I was trying to get at is one of the signs of being a psychopath is not caring about your own life, and stuntmen, him doing his own stunts is kind of an indicator that you don't care about yourself and that you will take risks, and you'll take risks that other people will not do.
1 billion-year contracts, having an alleged torture camp called The Hole, among other horrible allegations from former members.
That's where the smugglers are going.
Tom is so dedicated to this religion, he abandoned his own 7-year-old daughter and has not seen her in over a decade.
What a piece of shit, man.
Today, we're going to deep dive into the career of Tom Cruise and try to assess why he is so loyal to the shadowy world of Scientology. Tom Cruise's life started out as an abused child who was desperate for a purpose. Cruise has described his father as a merchant of chaos who was a bully and a coward. For me, it was like, there's something wrong with this guy. Don't trust him. Be careful around him. You can imagine that not being able to trust your own father when you are a toddler created a difficult and chaotic environment for Cruise.
And it also can attribute to the nature versus nurture thing that people have debated about for many, many years and even decades. If you are born a psychopath, you can still have parents that love you and you can still live a relatively normal life. But if you are estranged, abused, or you're like adopted, or something happens with your family, that trauma can bring forth like the psychopathy. And it happens with a lot of mental illnesses too. Like, you can live a relatively normal life.
Additionally, when Cruz
just
was 7 years
this didn't
old,
help,
he was
obviously.
diagnosed with dyslexia, which made him feel even more isolated
Aw,
and confused. His
that
father
sucks.
could never hold a steady job, which led to the family moving often. They moved from Syracuse, New York to Ottawa, Canada in 1971 when Tom was in 3rd grade. By the 6th grade, his parents got divorced, and his mother moved Tom and his sisters down to Louisville, Kentucky. According to Shane Dempler,
Moving
a friend
a
that
lot,
went to school with Tom in Louisville, Tom was interested in becoming a Catholic priest. He had a very strong Catholic
God.
faith,
Oh,
Dempler said.
God.
We went to Mass, spent
Oh,
time in the
no.
chapel, and enjoyed hearing
Oh no, not the Catholic priest. Oh jeez.
stories from the priests.
Oh, cheese and
we thought the
crackers.
priests had a great lifestyle, and we were really interested in priesthood. Unfortunately, the boys were kicked out of the school after they were caught stealing alcohol and drinking in the woods. Shane recalled, "The school wrote a letter to our parents saying they liked us both, but would prefer if we didn't return. So we weren't kicked out, just preferred not to go." From there, Tom relocated to another seminary school in Cincinnati, Ohio, after being recommended by a local priest. Tom was instantly hooked, said Father Rich Schneider, who gave the speech that brought Cruz to seminary school. "I think he wanted a good education. With his parents going through a divorce, it was tough on him. That's maybe one of the reasons why he came here."
That's
His time
fair,
in
yeah.
Cincinnati did not last
Understandable.
long, as his family would ultimately
yo.
relocate again to Glen Ridge, New Jersey, where
A
he
lot of relocating in your younger years, like divorce, dyslexia, going to Canada. Oh my God, this guy got handed it to him, huh?
finished high school. After graduation, Tom knew
Fuck.
acting was his future. Within his first year of auditioning for various Hollywood roles, he landed a small part in a film called Endless Love. Tom's handsome look and physique made him stand out amongst his peers, which got him an ancillary role in the film Taps. As a novice in the industry,
Taps
he
was
wanted to
pretty good,
learn
wasn't it?
everything there was to learn about cinema.
The first film that I really got on, which was Taps, I went to every
That's
single
old.
department and I studied every part of the movie. I went to the camera department, I studied lenses, lighting. You know, I was working with a great cinematographer, Oren Roisman. I studied what producers do, what writers do, what wardrobe does, what the stunt department does, props, sound. I studied every
Mission
aspect
Impossible
of the
thing in
film.
the background.
Tom was
man.
obsessed. His work ethic gave Hollywood producers even more of a reason to invest in him. He earned another ancillary role in The Outsiders before securing his first lead role in the 1983 hit Risky
Ooh,
Business.
this is a big
Risky
deal.
Business is an 80s mood film that appealed to teenagers at the time. Every generation has a few cult classic coming-of-age films that are not cinematic masterpieces with intricate plots, but
You know what? It's really sad. I haven't heard about this kind of comedy or like genre of movie since like the 2000s. I think they died, man.
capture somewhat of
Genre,
a
I
realistic
mean.
look of the aesthetic, attitudes, and behaviors of the kids who grew up in that era. The film grossed $60 million at the box office, and he stole the hearts of young people in the USA. Even at the young age of 19, Tom was
Damn, he was
mature
only
beyond his
19?
years, which can be felt during this 1983 interview with Bobby Wygant.
What do directors, how do they direct? Do they work with you a lot, or do they pretty much give you rein?
Yeah, they leave me alone.
Yeah, they gotta
That's-
leave him alone. He's
I mean,
crazy.
the director, a good director will listen, you know, and trust his artists after casting them. I've been fortunate. I've really had a lot of room with the directors that I've worked with.
Tom holds a very controlled,
He
poised
reminds me of
demeanor.
Patrick
Even if he
Bateman,
glares at
man.
you for a second, you can feel his intensity. He quickly shifts from high-energy laughter to extremely soft-spoken. Tom continued his trajectory as a rising star in Hollywood, and in 1986 he would
Good
land
at
a lead
masking
role in a
shit.
classic film that would officially secure him a 40-year legacy. It also ushered him into the
So freaky how their entire building is blue like the sky. Like the sky actually blends in.
controversial Church
That's
of
wild,
Scientology.
huh?
But first, a quick word from today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Week 2 of the NFL is here, and Underdog wants to make it a lot more exciting. Join the millions of fans that played on Underdog last year. With their pick'em game, you could win money by making picks on your favorite players. You could win up to 1,000x your money just by choosing higher or lower on
$200?
player stats like touchdowns, receiving
my
yards,
God.
interceptions, and much more.
Oh
Create
my God,
entries
it's
of only
illegal in your
NFL
state.
picks course, or mix and match across your other favorite sports. Underdog is available in 30+ states, including California, Florida, and Texas. Here are my picks for tonight's game, and if they hit, I'll 6x my money. New customers can pair their picks with this Josh Allen free pick. All he needs is 1 yard for this pick to win. Underdog is dropping a promo every day in September, so keep an eye on your lobby. Underdog is the place to play, so sign up and deposit now using promo code PatrickCC to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a free pick. Thanks, Underdog. In the 1980s, the US was exhausting all of its resources to push military propaganda and program young men for war. G.I. Joe, Cap Guns, Little Green Army Men, Boy Scouts were resurging in popularity, and of course, the seemingly endless list of 1980s war movies.
Yeah,
Writer
that's
Jerry
a classic.
Bruckheimer capitalized on the pro-military trend by focusing on the high-octane, action-packed jobs of fighter pilots. Originally, Tom did not want to participate in the film.
We were turned down by Tom Cruise over and over again, but we arranged with the Blue Angels back in, I guess, 85 to take him up in a jet. And he came down, he had a great ride, walked over to a payphone, called me up and said, Jerry, I'm in.
Tom Cruise played the role of the charismatic fighter pilot, Pete Maverick Mitchell, an all-American patriot who oozes masculinity and charm. The film was a blockbuster hit, earning $357 million at the
hot babes and muscle men. That's what people want.
Worldwide box office. Tom Cruise was a pop culture superstar. Aviator sunglasses became status quo late 80s fashion because of him, and the US military had its last year of positive growth after the movie was released. But behind the scenes, Tom was actually struggling. When I was 22, when I was making Top Gun, I got the chance to make my dream come true to become a pilot. I thought, this is the time to do it. So I had a couple of lessons, but then I blew it off. I'd tried to concentrate on what I was reading. Then I'd get to the end of the page and have very little memory of anything I'd read. I would go blank, feel anxious, nervous, bored, frustrated, dumb. I graduated high school in 1980, but I didn't even go to my graduation. I was a functioning illiterate. I loved learning, I wanted to learn, but I knew I had failed in the system. In 1986, the year Top Gun came out, I became a Scientologist. A friend gave me a picture book on Scientology, and through this I was introduced to the writings of L. Ron Hubbard, who had
Oh no. Oh no. A friend gave me a picture book on Scientology. If someone gave me a picture book on a religion, period, I'd be like, why did you just give me like a book? I don't know, I feel like a picture book is so condescending. Like, you're too stupid to like understand the words. You need a picture book. Is that weird?
Founded the religion. Mr. Hubbard was also an educator who had been researching the field for decades. He had found that literacy and comprehension levels were declining worldwide, so in the 1960s he had developed study technology. It pinpoints 3 barriers to learning. Lack of mass, you can't learn to fly a plane by just reading about it, you have to sit in the cockpit or at least have a picture of a plane. Skipped gradients, trying to master skills or information without mastering or understanding that which comes before them, and misunderstood words, the most important one and cause for stupidity.
When people try to justify their stupidity, that's kind of... You're stupid because of X reason, not because you... Like, I understand, okay, maybe you have a traumatic brain injury, and that happens when you have injury to your brain, but like, jeez, dude. Because of ghosts? Of aliens?
Started focusing on those problems, everything fell into place. Cruise credits Scientology with helping him overcome his learning disability. He is one of the church's most high-profile followers and has become a spokesperson for the organization. However, his close friendship with David Miscavige, the current leader of Scientology, has placed him at the center of several controversies as well as question his legacy as a whole. Scientology is a religion that many consider to be a cult created by science fiction writer L. Ron Hubbard. According to the Church of Scientology, Ron was a highly trained lieutenant commander in the US Navy, who became a war hero that sunk a Japanese submarine, as well as a Purple Heart Award winner due to suffering blinding and crippling injuries through the course of combat in the Second World War. One medical report describes Hubbard as suffering a severe bone infection in the hip and back.
So
forcing him
bad.
to walk with a cane. Another shows his vision registered at 2100, which according to Medical Review meant that he could not distinguish facial features until 3 or 4 feet away, could not make out a street sign beyond 10 yards, and could not read a newspaper.
Oh, that's really
whereas the
bad.
official US Navy documents say that he was not qualified to be a lieutenant commander. He never received a Purple Heart, categorized his injuries as being exposed to light for too long and spraining his ankle, to which they prescribed him dark glasses and declared him ready for duty, as well as analyzed all potential evidence.
He just straight up lied. Chad, I have a Purple Heart. My legs blew off in Vietnam. That's why I'm 400 pounds. Do you believe me?
Surrounding him sinking a Japanese ship, only for them to find that there was no submarine in the area at the time. Due to the conflicting information, we don't really know the truth about his time spent in the military. What we do know is that he was an incredibly proficient and fast writer. Hubbard holds the Guinness World Record for the most published works by one author.
1,000? Yo, this is before AI too, chat.
Battlefield Earth, To the Stars, When Shadows Fall, Typewriter in the Sky are just a few of his fantasy alternate world fiction stories. Although he published books at an incredible rate, there seems to be a quantity over quality issue, because he was never able to make a financial living off of his work. There have been extensive—
Well, yeah, when you write a bunch of garbage, then yeah, it's kind of what happens, huh?
studies and multiple sources that have corroborated this L. Ron Hubbard quote. He told us that writing science fiction for about a penny a word was no way to make a living. If you really want to make $1 million, he said, the quickest way is to start your own religion. If this quote is true, that would insist that a science fiction writer came up with a silly idea for a religion to get rich, and people happened to buy into it. As Hubbard struggled to sell his books and begged the Veterans Association to increase his monthly allowance so he could pay his bills, he began developing his next big book, Dianetics: The Modern Science of Mental Health.
Chat, this blew my socks off. This blew my socks off, unironically. When I saw the South Park explanation for Dianetics, yeah, #1 New York Times bestseller. Like, but what if it's like, you know, like fake and like it's for funsies? Like, I could understand that for fun you could write something like this. Yeah. I got so many alien ghosts haunting me, you wouldn't believe it. Yeah, that's why I'm so mentally ill. All VTubers are surrounded by alien ghosts.
Dianetics is one of the fundamental pillars of Scientology that is still practiced to this day, nearly 75 years later. Since there was very little to no attention on the importance of maintaining positive mental health in the 1950s, the book
lobotomy still existed.
Became popular quickly, selling over 150,000 copies in its first year, earning Hubbard over $1 million. However, Hubbard's system faced a lot of criticism from doctors and psychologists. They say he lacked scientific evidence and empirical data, and he was using pseudo-scientific concepts to prove his nonsensical ideas. But then Hubbard played the conspiracy.
Wait, did he attach like a machine to a tomato?
Conspiracy card. He convinced his followers that the only reason actual scientists didn't agree with his teachings was because psychologists, pharmaceutical companies, and the medical industry as a whole would lose billions of dollars if they acknowledged that Dianetics was the cure for all psychological pain. Additionally, Hubbard started to expand Dianetics into a broader spiritual belief system, which eventually led to the creation of Scientology in 1953. Hubbard did not complete his college education, nor did he spend years studying any field of medicine or health whatsoever. But he does claim that he cured himself from arthritis, bursitis, blindness, ulcers, and even the common cold. And he was able to do that through Dianetics. Dianetics theory describes the human mind as two parts: the conscious, analytical mind and the subconscious, reactive mind. Hubbard's beliefs were very similar to Sigmund Freud's theory of the unconscious mind and his understanding of how suppressed memories can shape an individual's behavior. However, in Hubbard's theory, all psychological pain and the mental and physical health problems that come from that were a form of memory known as engrams, which are stored in the reactive mind. While Dianetics focused on improving the mind,
so something bad happened to you, that means it's gonna affect you down the line. Wow, who would have thought? Yo, Tiger, think of the 1,000 biddies. I appreciate it.
Scientology took things further by introducing the idea of the Thetan, an immortal spiritual being that lives inside every person.
And by the way, this wasn't the first book. They started doing this in the first book. The whole alien bullshit.
Hubbard believed that each person is actually a Thetan with limitless potential, but this potential is blocked by negative experiences or engrams that have built up over many lifetimes. Scientology therefore became a way to free the Thetan from these engrams, allowing the person to achieve spiritual freedom and reach their full potential. This process is known as going clear, which is the ultimate goal of someone practicing Dianetics. Once someone goes clear, they can then...
The clear is freed from active or psychopathic illnesses or aberrations, unrepressed, able to perceive, recall, and compute at a level high above the norm. So if I have like a schizo meltdown and I'm going clear and I start imagining things that aren't real, that's gonna be me doing it for the betterment of myself.
And move on to higher levels of spiritual awareness and power, known as the operating Thetan levels. These levels are supposed to give the person more control over themselves and the world around them. Powers such as telepathy, exteriorization, which is the ability to separate from the body with full perception, telekinesis, the ability to move objects with thought. Where most religions focus on a servitude towards a god or a higher power,
Wait, was it a battle pass? Hold on. Where's the picture?
Or over them.
Yeah. This is a battle pass. Yeah. OT fucking 15 and then all the way to OT 1. I can read Roman numerals a little bit. The only reason I can read Roman numerals is because of video games.
Themselves and the world around them. Powers such as telepathy, exteriorization, which is the ability to separate from the body with full perception, telekinesis, the ability to move objects with thought. Where most religions focus on a servitude towards a god or a higher power, Scientology kind of does the exact opposite. And although they don't say it specifically, they essentially believe that they are gods or that they can become gods. Tom Cruise is known for reaching extraordinary levels of human excellence, such as learning how to become a fighter pilot, or climbing the tallest building in the world without any sort of harness or rope.
He is crazy. You can't tell me he's crazy. I mean, he's not crazy. Who does that? You're a psycho!
Among his endless list of other incredible stunts he has performed. It's safe to assume that Tom Cruise believes that going clear has allowed him to accomplish these incredible feats. However, the process of going clear is pretty intense and also costs a lot of money. To go clear, a trained auditor helps a person go through their past experiences to find and deal with the engrams that are holding them back. This process often involves using something called an e-meter, a device that measures the electrical resistance of the skin, which is believed to show the presence of engrams.
This is very real, chat. I'm gonna hold on to these, and this machine's gonna explode.
Auditors use the e-meter to track a person's progress and help them find...
If they put this in my hands, this would explode.
...and resolve deep-rooted negative experiences. A person during an auditing session would be instructed to hold 2 metal cylinders connected to the e-meter, which sends a small electrical current through their body. The e-meter then measures changes in the electrical resistance, which Scientologists believe show changes in the person's mental and spiritual state. The auditor uses these readings to guide the person through questions, but these questions that they ask are often very leading and intended to poke and prod at the deepest, darkest secrets held in your mind and soul.
There was a woman, a very famous actress, I forget her name, and she said she exposed the whole thing, and her whole family basically abandoned her after she detached herself from Scientology, and they all fucking hate her. They ask questions and make you have like mental breakdowns over this. Yeah, Leah Remini, yes, correct. I watched the whole thing. It was really sad. Yeah, it's like, what the heck, man? They mentally break you down during the interviews, and then they do this all the time. Yeah, it's like inadvertent brainwashing, basically.
You learn about how these auditing sessions are done and the types of questions that they ask. You'll see how it almost comes off like an interrogation or a way to give personal information to an organization that could be potentially later used against you.
Yeah, so here's even how a Scientology auditor believes it works. You're holding the cans. There's a tiny little battery in that e-meter that's sending, and you're completing the circuit when you pick up the cans, right? So you got a little thing going there, and that needle will respond to your physical movement, but that's not what we want. And I'm going to go, is there something you're withholding from me? And what I'm looking for is right when I say at the end of me, I'm looking for the needle to dip to the right. And so I'll give you a really good example of this. So you're holding the cans. Say, is there anything you're withholding from me? And I get an instant read. And I go, is there anything you're withholding from me? You're going to go, I don't think so.
And I don't see the needle.
No, you don't see the needle. I go, well,
it's a really good interrogation tactic. It's like, are you sure? Are you sure you're not? Because, like, look at this. Like, yeah, look at the meter. The meter doesn't lie, chat. I need to make my own religion, and then you hold these, like, cans of cheese whiz in your hands, and then every time I ask you a question, like, how much cheese do you have in your closet? And then you say, I don't have any cheese. And I'm like, are you sure you don't have any cheese? The cheese whiz is, like, escaping through the nozzle at the top. And then I'm like, okay, the cheese meter says that you're withholding cheese from me, and you have to give me the cheese. And you're like, no, I swear I don't have any cheese. Yeah, where's the cheese? Interrogation at its finest, chat. I'm a federal agent.
What did you think of when I asked you the question? Okay, so you're going to go, I don't know what I was thinking of. I'll be like, take a look, and I'll help you out here. I'll try to steer you.
This is scary.
Okay, so I'm looking to get roughly the same read while you're thinking about whatever. I mean, what was that?
And it's sad because it preys on the vulnerable and the stupid. Like, smart people filter themselves. It's like the scamming email thing when they purposefully misspell words in the email to filter out stupid people that are naturally low IQ, and also emotional people who don't understand that they're being emotionally manipulated and therefore abused. If you come from an abusive background, you are not going to be able to distinct that these people are using you in that way because you think it's normal. Yeah, and desperate. Yeah, that's a really good one. People who are in debt are also more inclined to join Scientology because they're desperate for, like, answers and they want help.
That right there.
And you can start digging to what? You can start...
I just want an answer to the question. Okay.
And I can go to memory.
Yeah. And you can give me any answer you want. There's no way for me to know if you're giving me the right answer, but I want you to give me something.
Yeah.
If you say you can't give me anything, I'm going to keep using the e-meter until you give me something. Okay, so let's say you give me something. I'm going to get all the details about that, and until, like, time, place, form, and event, I want to know everything that happened. I want to know all the details. And by the way, I'm writing all this down. So I'm taking notes of everything you're telling me that it's a bad thing that you did that you haven't told me about. Okay, so I'm keeping notes. When you represent to me that you've told me everything there is to tell, I'm looking for the needle to give, like, a smooth back and forth motion like this. And Scientology calls that a floating needle. That means, in Scientology land, we're done with that.
Now, many people argue that the e-meter...
Wait, but it's a nonsensical machine. How do you know? Oh my god, this is so dumb.
is not exactly scientifically proven to really do anything. Yeah. It does measure some sort of electrical current that takes place in your body and mind, and it is somehow connected, but we can't prove that it indicates anything about mental health or your physical or emotional well-being. Many people look at it as nothing more than hypnosis, and many believe that the auditing process is strategically designed to make people think that it's actually doing something positive in their life.
Being a victim is despised in Scientology because of something called the tone scale. The tone scale is sort of an emotional ranking of a person, and it goes from -40 to 40. Now 0 is death and 0.1 is victim. It is seen as a bad thing to even feel any negative emotions in Scientology, because Scientologists believe that if bad things happen to you, it's because you have done something bad to deserve it.
This goes back to Catholicism. That's actually interesting, because you have to repent and it's kind of like ingrained in that, man. That's fucked. It makes sense because Tom Cruise wanted to be like this makes sense, man.
like emotional torture.
So you can see how this is kind of a dangerous gray area. On one hand, the goal of the therapy sessions is for you to feel better, for you to cope with all of your past trauma and your negativity, and for that to then release and have positive ramifications on your life. But then the other hand is like, well, no, you're not actually solving these problems. You're just being tricked into thinking that you're solving these problems. And then you have to pay for more auditing sessions for you to keep solving these problems. And we'll go deep.
Nothing to do with Catholicism. Chat, I have really good friends that were Catholic. They would relentlessly go for confession whenever something bad happened. If like they did something bad, they would instantly go to the church. Where? Okay, I'm not gonna talk about it. I know you guys are. It's a sensitive topic. I understand. I'm just saying. I'm just fine. It's
deeper
fine.
into
It's
the
fine.
financial component of all of this in a minute.
Sorry,
But in the
you're
late
right,
80s and early 90s, Tom
anything.
Cruise wasn't overtly public about his Scientology ties as he was still growing his career. After Top Gun, he continued to have an incredible run in Hollywood. The Color of Money, Cocktail, Rain Man, Days of Thunder, A Few Good Men, The Firm, hit after hit after hit. Everything that Tom Cruise starred in was a box office smash. In 1988, he was the highest grossing box office star, and to this day, he is the #6 highest grossing actor of all time, with a combined total of $12 billion generated. He was a convincing leading man who does all of his own stunts. He had near perfect looks. On set, he was known to be honest, humble, and a genuine person.
No, I didn't hear that at all. I remember things were coming out about him being an absolute a-hole to people that were outside of the movie production, and even the people who were in the movie production knew that he was an asshole and you couldn't talk to him. I don't know, he'll probably cover it, but like that's what the media tried to paint him as, because they're all ingrained in like the Hollywood propaganda.
It's considered by many to be the perfect human, yet somehow still very mysterious.
You've got one of the nicest reputations in Hollywood. I mean, everyone who interviews you says, hands down, you are polite and giving. But I've interviewed you a lot of times, and you don't let people real close. How come?
He didn't blink for so long. Did you guys notice that? He didn't blink until like he moved his head.
I think I'm letting you pretty closely.
Do you feel like you hold something back or you protect something?
That's crazy. He's perfect, doesn't need to blink. True. He wanted to be a Catholic priest, man. That's crazy.
You know,
imagine you go to confession with this guy, man. I'd be terrified of him. Kind of glad he didn't become a Catholic priest. That would be so scary.
Doing this, you know, to help promote the films. I mean, I really don't hold back that much when you ask me anything. But I mean, there is a certain, you know, certain things that I really don't want to talk about, and certain things that really aren't important, you know, aren't important for people to hear, and I really don't even think they want to hear.
In the early 90s, Tom began speaking about the Church of Scientology more publicly.
Tom, let me try to understand. The Church of Scientology, is this something that feeds you spiritually, or is it a technique that just helps your mind? Is it a religion?
Yeah, I mean, by definition, it is a religion.
And is it for you? Does it help you in a spiritual way?
Yeah, but the thing is that it's not a matter of being fed something. And it is not someone telling you how to live your life. It is not someone...
What do you mean? They just went on a whole spiel about how you're not allowed to feel bad. Oh my god, you have to be this perfect being the whole time?
Feeding you what is real for them. It is what is real for you. It is a self-exploration.
Does it bother you that it is considered so controversial, that it is considered a cult, that it has been investigated? I'm not telling you anything you don't know.
No, it doesn't. For me, I don't care. It doesn't affect me at all. It doesn't matter to me. Whatever anybody thinks or what they don't know, I know what I know.
He still seemed to be reserved, not willing to go into immense detail about how the church functions and his role in it. In 1986, L. Ron Hubbard died, and David Miscavige was named chairman of the board or the leader of Scientology in 1987.
At 2000 hours Friday, the 24th of January, AD 36, L. Ron Hubbard discarded the body he had used in this lifetime for 74 years, 10 months, and 11 days.
Bro, they're LARPing. Did you guys hear that? AD 936, 2000 hours? What is that LARPing?
The body he had used to facilitate his existence in this messed universe had ceased
Discarded
to be useful,
the body. Yeah, isn't that
and
weird?
in fact had become an impediment to the work he now must do outside of its confines.
In 1993, Scientology became a recognized religion in the United States.
Fucking IRS! It's the fucking feds! The feds did this!
Which dramatically increased its legitimacy. For many years, the IRS refused to grant Scientology this status because of the concerns about its financial practices and whether it was really qualified as a religion. The Church of Scientology fought back by filing many lawsuits against the IRS and reportedly harassed IRS officials.
I bet you they had people that became Scientologists in the IRS, and it just took years to get to that point.
In 1993, after years of conflict, the IRS granted Scientology tax-exempt status, recognizing it as a religious organization. This decision was highly controversial and led to widespread criticism, with many people believing that the IRS had been pressured into making the decision. And as you'll learn in a bit, Scientologists go to extreme lengths to gather sensitive information about others. Many speculate that they pressured, blackmailed, and threatened to expose government officials until they were granted tax-exempt status. But that's all conspiracy. This status allowed Scientology to operate as a non-profit, which means it doesn't have to pay federal income taxes nor property taxes and has allowed them to accumulate massive wealth. It is estimated that the church has generated between $1 and $3 billion. But how did they get that money? Well, first of all, donating money to
from their own people, man.
A church or a religion is very common. Scientology happens to strategically recruit members of mass wealth, celebrities, Hollywood superstars, so it's safe to assume that those people are donating potentially millions of dollars. However, the auditing sessions are also very costly. Remember, the main goal or the point of being a Scientologist is
the last podcast of the Left series with Scientology is awesome. I don't know, but I've always been intrigued by it. I've always been intrigued. Why is Scientology just given a free pass on everything, man? It's a Hollywood cult.
To go clear. However, there are levels or goals that you essentially rank up to along the way. These are called operating Thetan levels or OT levels, which are the goals that you hit before reaching the bridge to total freedom. Each spiritual level has an estimated real cost that it would take to reach it. Costs can vary.
Bro, it's pay to win! It's literally pay to win! It's like whaling on Lost Ark or BDO!
Vary considerably depending on the needs of the individual, but it is speculated that somebody would be paying well over $100,000 into potentially $500,000 in auditing sessions to...
Leah Remini said that her mom, because what happened is like they were actors, if I remember correctly, her parents were actors and then they made her be an actor since she was a child, and every single penny basically went back into Scientology from her family at all times. And by the end, when her mom passed away, I'm pretty sure by the end of the documentary, she spent like $1 million or more than that just on herself, not including like everyone else in the family. Oh my god, and then it's all to them, all to the Scientology, every single penny.
Reach clear.
Finish a course or an auditing action. You're not allowed to finish it until you write up a success story on how great it was and how it changed your life and how you would want other people to have that. Now, if you're like, I'm not really feeling it, You're like,
you know what that reminds me of? People who sit at the door next to a restaurant or like a business and they say, hey, write this really good review. I provided you really good service. Can you give me a 5-star? If you don't give me a 5-star, I'm gonna be really upset. I've actually I have encountered someone like that before. I just told them like, no thanks. I don't wanna like look at you. No thanks. Tipping? Bro, it is not fucking tipping. No, it is not the same, man. Waiters don't stare at you while you're giving them tips, man. Yeah, I don't know, man. That was a really bad analogy. No, I don't like tipping, by the way, for the record. I don't think it's anything like tipping. I experienced it at a business where I was trying to get out the door and a woman was staring at me and being like, hey, can you like open up your phone and give me like a 5-star review? I think you had a really good time here. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what? My face would have hit no tip on the tip screen. I've done that before when they had really poor service. Again, I don't like doing it. I don't like tipping. I don't like the incentive of tipping, but I do it as an American, unfortunately. Oh my gosh, man. They strongly asked us to do it at my old job and never did. Yes! Or they forced their employees to do it. Yeah, I've heard about it as well.
oh, you're not? We're gonna have to go back and see what's wrong with your last level, and that costs you more money.
Hop on the lobotomy machine, my friend.
The beatings will continue until morale improves. But you get to the point where it literally costs you more money to say that that thing didn't give you exactly what you hoped it would. So you're trained to lie to yourself. That's great. Just to save money.
Gives you mental illness,
and then you
too.
get up and you lie to everyone else to get them to do it as well.
You can also pay money in advance to the church for them to hold it and keep it as almost like a bank account for auditing sessions in your next life.
They're good people.
What? Oh yeah, here's Leah Remini.
And they're being defrauded out of their life savings. I mean, it costs $250,000 easy to be assigned.
How do these people though that like aren't like who don't have a lot of money? How do people afford that?
That's the thing. It's amazing. It shows you the ability of someone who has a belief and a faith that they're doing amazing things. They work to pay for their religion. They live below their means to pay for their religion.
It is impossible to advance.
I think I watched the whole Leah Remini, the woman that was just talking. She said that she was trying to convince her mom after she was like considering leaving, and then her mom was passing away, I'm pretty sure. And she said, Mom, this isn't real. Like, this whole thing is like made up. And the mom says, I don't care. Look how much good they've done for you. This is why you should be loyal to them. And imagine being the daughter, like being Leah in this position. Your mom's dying, and you're trying to like be reasonable and be like, Bob, like they're using you for your money, like they don't care about you. And then like the mom is like, I don't care. Good. I don't care that this is happening to me. I'm happy. And it's like, okay. Good Lord, man. They also did the doctrine, so it's like gacha games when a new unit comes out. Oh yeah, Leah talked about that too. She said that at a certain point, enough people got to like OT8 at the time in like 1992. Like, I'm throwing out a number here. I don't actually know. But they made a new level above OT8, and it's like, yeah, it's like a power creep, like in BDO, you got to the grind, a certain amount of people got to the top, now you've got OT8, and they write a new book. They write a new book so that people keep buying their shit. It's insane, man. Oh my god, imagine if the Bible and the Quran got like a fucking update every like 5 years. They're like, okay, so this is what actually happened. So like, oh my god, man. People lose their minds, man.
In the religion without completing the required courses and auditing sessions. No other modern religion with a congregation size comparable to that of the Church of Scientology mandates recurring payments to merely participate. Yet, Scientology's entire foundation and religious ideology is built upon these required payments from parishioners. Additionally, the Church of Scientology saves an enormous amount of money in labor costs because they pay their employees or volunteers next to nothing.
They pay
a mere
them nothing.
$50 per week stipend. However, many of them are okay with this form of payment as they have become fully dependent on the Church of Scientology in every aspect of their lives.
They live in their
This organization is the most dedicated version, the most dedicated brand of Scientologists. So there's 3 like echelons of Scientologists.
What?
There's public, who just live normal lives in the real world and they pay to do Scientology courses and auditing.
Right.
Then there's
Normies.
staff members who also live in the real world, but work on 2.5-year contracts or 5-year contracts at their local Scientology organization. And then once they finish their contract, their debt is paid or whatever.
Okay.
And then there's the Sea Org members. These are the guys who sign the billion-year contracts.
What?
They don't have lives in the outside world. They don't own property. They live in Scientology-provided housing. They eat in Scientology-run cafeterias.
This is what Jeff Bezos wants you to be, by the way. What if Amazon started a religion and then all the Amazon workers have to like live in like Amazon BlackRock owned like facilities and they have like a city built around them? That would be insane. It'll be like Raccoon City. Chad, do you want to live in Raccoon City? It's called Amazon City, and we have to listen to Basology. We have to go to the Church of Bezos.
Is there an actual contract that says 1 billion years?
It's symbolic, but yes.
Okay.
Like,
what?
It's not a legally enforceable contract.
According to L. Ron Hubbard, the Sea Org initially operated on 3 real ships, the Diana, the Athena, and the Apollo, which Hubbard used to spread the teachings of his new religion. According to Hubbard, much of the galaxy, including Earth, was ruled tens of millions of years ago by the Galactic Confederacy, controlled.
Chad, this is what they actually believe, by the way. I have to stop. I have to shut up. This is so funny.
By a tyrant named Xenu. Xenu was eventually overthrown by a group with the Confederacy known as the Loyal Officers, and Sea Org is modeled after these Loyal Officers. Sea Org members are considered the most dedicated Scientologists, signing 1 billion-year contracts to serve the church across multiple lifetimes. Many join at a young age, some even as children, and endure a rigorous lifestyle that includes up to 100-hour work weeks, strict discipline, and a $50 per week wage. They do not have relationships or communication with the outside world. They are not allowed to have children. They eat, sleep, and breathe solely for the purpose of Scientology. They do normal jobs, just like any other business, but they are assigned to them like a military post. You have the treasury, which consists of people who receive, collect and invoice money, pay bills, manage assets. You also have sales representatives who get people to sign up for the religion. You have
Oh my god, they have a Grand Paris Scientology building. I had no idea. I thought this was just an American thing.
Promotional team who sends out flyers.
Well, then again, there's a sucker born every minute, so it's not just Americans, unfortunately. It's everywhere.
Emails and advertisements for the church. You also have auditors and the people who train the auditors and the people who monitor the people who are training the auditors, and then the people who get members to pay for the auditing sessions and constantly pester members to sign up for more auditing sessions. If any, and I mean any task, no matter how small it is, that they were assigned to get done is not done by the end of the day, they will not stop working. Whether your task is to organize thousands of files by hand, or sign someone up for an auditing session, or merely just dust the floor, if the task is not done, you don't stop working. In 1975, Sea Org transitioned to land-based operations. By 2000, the number of Sea Org members was estimated at around 5,800. Most members now live in church complexes around the world, including locations in Los Angeles, Florida, Copenhagen, London, and Sydney, with some assigned
I thought that said Silent Hill, and I was about to lose my freaking marbles, man.
to smaller centers or acting as missionaries. And still to this day, there are many people that live and work on the Sea Organization motor vessel Freewinds. Scientology reports that they have millions of members worldwide, and that is this rapidly growing religion that people love. But most of these buildings are vastly empty, and it seems like they really don't have that many members, potentially in the ballpark of 40,000 people. There are countless stories of former members who have escaped Scientology, who have often described themselves as being trapped in a cult. Leah Remini is an actress and former Scientologist who escaped and has dedicated a good part of her life to expose the horrors of life as a member. We have heard stories of mind control to
She's good at telling stories too, by the way. If you want to like actually check it out, she's also pretty.
forced labor to sexual assault and abuse to a secret prison camp called The Hole, where disgraced members of the church are sent to effectively be tortured.
It had bars on the windows, and the one entrance was guarded by security 24 hours a day. The hole basically was some kind of a slang term that had been coined long before I got there, and it was where you ate there, you slept there on the floor.
It's like prison, man.
And you never left, with the exception of a brief period to go take a shower.
When you say you slept there on the floor, did you have cots or bunks or some kind of beds?
No, you slept in
Bro, they even have cots in prison. They make you sleep on the floor like an animal. That's horrible.
Sleeping bag, you slept on the floor and sleeping bag.
What were the conditions like on the floor?
Worse than American prison, actually, unironically.
There were ants. The place was infested by ants, so ants would crawl on you. And there was a 2-week period during that time when all the electricity had been shut off, as ordered by Mr. Miscavige, and this was, of course, in summer.
She looks traumatized.
In the desert, and so the temperature in there was about 106.
Why didn't you just take off and get away from the hole?
Not possible. Absolutely not physically possible. You couldn't make it past security. The windows were barred.
How is this not under investigation? It's been around since the 70s.
Right from the beginning when I went in, I obviously was trying to figure out, plotting how to get out.
Were you used to, in your life, getting beaten up? Was that something you were used to?
Beating up women?
And you were a 40-something-year-old woman with a very, very respected job.
Yes.
Any and all accusations of major or minor misconduct within the church has been vehemently denied. They have never been tried or found guilty of committing any sort of crime. However, one form
What the hell is wrong with this world, man? They just get away with this shit?
Of justice they did admit to doing
I
is
show my
called
thighs, they get
overboarding,
banned.
which in the days of L. Ron Hubbard,
They beat women and put them in the hole, and the government doesn't do a damn thing.
sailing the Mediterranean in his fleet of ships consisted of throwing members off the ship into the ocean. According to author Janet Reitman, the modern version of this justice consisted of going outdoors in the middle of the night and assembling at the base's swimming pool or its muddy lake. Members would then jump or be pushed into the water, often in freezing conditions, while fully clothed and with Miscavige watching. Church lawyer Monique Yingling said overboarding is a part of ecclesiastical justice. They're not backing away from it or ashamed of it, she said. It has been done hundreds of times with precautions taken to make it safe.
Oh yeah, throwing someone overboard. Yeah, that's super safe. You're right. Chat, let's start throwing you out the window. I'll put like a pillow at the bottom. It's safe. Yeah, chat. You'll be fine.
Scientology has a no-tolerance policy on anyone who criticizes or attacks their practices. It is often referred to as attack the attacker. The procedure is as follows. Spot who is attacking us, start investigating them promptly for felonies or worse using own professionals, not outside agencies. Double curve our reply by saying we welcome an investigation of them. Start feeding lurid, blood, sex, crime, actual evidence on attackers to the press. You can get reasonable about it and lose. Sure, we break no laws. Sure, we have nothing to hide. But attackers are simply an anti-Scientology propaganda agency so far as we are concerned. They have proven they want no facts and will only lie no matter what they discover. So banish all ideas that any fair hearing is intended and start our attack with their first breath. Never wait. Never talk about us. Only them. Use their blood, sex, crime to get headlines. Don't use us.
So they literally lie. Yeah, they attack the... I watched a documentary about Leah Remini. They said horrible shit about her after she left.
There's a process called Noisy Investigation. It's written up in Scientology and approved by Ron Hubbard. And what a Scientology agent will do is they'll get a list of everybody you know, including your doctor, your dentist, your travel agent, whoever, your friends, your family. They will then contact every person on the list, whether directly or on the phone, and say, we're gathering information about John Atack or whoever and their criminal background. We found out some really interesting things already. I had this done to me and my mother-in-law, my one of my brothers-in-law decided to talk to the private detective who'd been sent over from Los Angeles. He travelled as far as Australia to find people who'd known me. He put about that I was a recovered...
They hire literal stalkers, man.
Heroin addict. I've never taken heroin in my life.
What?
I was a rapist. I'd attempted murder. I'd molested children.
What?
These are standard stories that are told about critics of Scientology. They're made up.
Yeah.
Check out this entire YouTube channel that creates high production value interviews, all dedicated to saying negative things about ex-Scientology members who are now speaking out. Aaron Smith Levins, Mark and Claire Headley, and of course Leah Remini. They even get family members to speak about how violent, abusive, and horrible these ex-members are.
Every night.
I'm sure many of you know that the Scientology iceberg is extremely deep. This information just scratches
They cut it out. I think it's because it was a Joe Rogan thing.
the surface. But it's important to understand a simple breakdown of this, as it is effectively Tom Cruise's belief system. And since Tom is one of the biggest outspoken activists supporting Scientology, his support gives them an enormous amount of legitimacy since he is a beloved superstar worldwide. Every time they open a new church, they invite Tom to give a speech at the grand opening.
Oh my God, he looks like Jesus,
kids need
man.
help.
Look at his hair.
This world needs help. The kind of help
No offense, Jesus.
where people can help themselves. Now, I have and will continue to dedicate my life to accomplishing this. And I am supremely grateful to Mr. L. Ron Hubbard for the study technology he provided, because I would not be here today if I didn't get that. And I am honored to be part of the applied scholastics movement, because I know now that I can truly help. And so can you.
But regardless of his ties to the
smile,
controversial
man. He's
church,
smirking.
Tom continued to have rampant success in Hollywood. The Firm, Jerry Maguire, Mission Impossible, which became a 7-part series
was a
that
cult
defined his
hit.
career as a stuntman. He learned how to skydive, fly, and put in the homework to make a role look realistic. He also had Eyes Wide Shut, Magnolia, The Last Samurai,
Oh, yeah.
and Minority Report
Last
to
Samurai.
prove that he wasn't just a one-trick pony who does heroic action films. However, with the extreme rise of tabloid culture, publications were interested in poking and prodding around the personal lives of
His marriage was
celebrities.
horrible,
And since
too.
Tom was a wildly successful actor with a popular actress wife and 2 adopted children, they were a pretty good target.
We're private people. We are human beings. You know, we are human beings. We have feelings, and more importantly than that, we have a family now. We have children. And I think that for years we were told, and just don't worry, and suddenly all these kind of rumors and gossip all of a sudden starts getting printed in, legitimate magazines. And,
I think paparazzi are scum. Yeah, they are.
I'd send letters asking for an apology. It's not true. And then you start getting letters back
Yeah.
where they say, and I just said, you know what? I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. And it's not right. And if they're not going to be responsible, I am going to make them be responsible.
The Church of Scientology has been blamed for having a huge
Oh.
impact on how Tom Cruise's relationships started and ended, making people wonder just how much control it has over its most famous members. Cruise was married to actress Mimi Rogers in 1987, who was the one who actually helped convert Tom to Scientology, but by the end of 1989, Cruise had filed for divorce. According to former Scientologist
She wanted to be a monk. That's what Scientology does to you. She wants to go be a monk.
Mike Rinder, who wrote about his experiences in his book A Billion Years, My Escape from a Life in the Highest Ranks of Scientology, he claims that Scientology leader David Miscavige was heavily involved in Cruise's life at the time, even helping to facilitate Cruise's relationship with Nicole Kidman while they were filming Days of Thunder in 1990. Rinder alleges that Greg Wilher, Cruise's personal auditor from the church, was assigned to get Mimi to agree to a divorce so Tom could marry Nicole, which was highly unusual and would never have happened with a normal Scientologist.
And the other thing is the Katie Holmes marriage was also a sham as well. Like, on top of that.
But what could Scientology's problem be with Mimi Rogers?
It's all fake.
Well, Rogers' father, Philip C. Spickler, had been closely involved with Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard, but he left the church in the early 1980s. This reportedly made Mimi Rogers herself less favorable in the eyes of Scientology's leadership, particularly David Miscavige. Morton's biography claims that the Scientology leadership felt such hostility towards Mimi's father that Mimi was stained by association.
Apparently they do this in North Korea too. If one of your parents runs over the border and defects, your life becomes extremely miserable and horrible on purpose to deter parents from leaving their kids behind and stuff. It's so bad. It's like a classic like tactic.
Which may have contributed to David Miscavige's push for the divorce. Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman met during the filming of Days of Thunder in 1989 and married in 1990. During their marriage, Cruise became more deeply and publicly involved in Scientology. Kidman, who was raised Catholic, was not initially a member of the church, but eventually became more involved and even undergoing frequent auditing sessions. However, their relationship with the church became strained as Kidman allegedly expressed concerns about the church's influence over Cruise, as well as her not wanting her children, Isabella and Connor, who were then 8 and 6 at the time, to be raised under Scientology's teachings and methods. One former Scientologist, Teresa Summers, who raised one child inside Scientology and another outside, shared her experience with the church's practices. Summers described how the church discouraged regular medical treatment, comfort, and nurturing for children. Instead, children were expected to do physical labor and were subjected to strict educational practices.
Child labor. I've heard that before,
that focused more on Scientology's teachings than on regular school subjects. The church was allegedly concerned that Kidman was pulling Cruise away from Scientology. After their divorce in 2001, this now iconic photo of Kidman was taken where she is seen reaching her arms out in pure joy and relief that the marriage is finally over. She also left Scientology around the same time. Unfortunately, she was not able to get her kids out, as Tom retained custody of the 2 children. In the early 2000s, more people than ever were trying to expose Scientology for what they believe it truly is. And since Tom Cruise is the most notable member, anything involving him would get more attention, more views, more clicks, etc. Like this video of him hanging out on the freeway ship celebrating his 42nd birthday.
Thank you.
Laugh, chat. Laugh!
I am not, I don't know where I am right now. You have to kind of be there to understand this reality. You know how that is?
What?
This is incredible. This
guy's crazy.
I will how do I thank you? Thank you.
This guy is
best
nutto.
Ever. I mean,
or the speech he gave when accepting Scientology's made-up Freedom Medal of Valor.
These are the times now, people. Okay? These are the times we will all remember. Were you there? What did you do? I think you know that I am there for you. And I do care so very, very, very
They
much.
gave him a medal? For what? Being an actor?
So what do you say? We need to clean this place up? Huh? Because we're counting on you.
I'm getting chills, man. This is scary.
Right? Dweller H.
Oh
But
my
there
god,
was one
they're saluting his portrait!
video that fundamentally changed Scientology's public reputation. In this 9-minute video of what seems to be a Scientology promotion reel, Tom is ranting about Scientology with the signature Mission Impossible theme song playing in the background. And just like every other time he talks about Scientology, he says a whole lot of nothing.
You can just see the look in their eyes. You know the ones that are doing, and you know the spectators who are the ones that are going, well, it's easy for you, or what am I doing? And it's just, that thing is, I've canceled that in my area. It's like, man, you're either in or you're out. That's spectatorism, and it's something that is, we have no time for it now.
He should be a VTuber, man. I bet you he could pull in a lot of people through VTubing.
It's our responsibility to educate, create the new reality. We have that responsibility to say, hey,
what is he saying?
this
I don't
is the
even
way
know.
it should be done. Because we do it this way and people are actually getting better. And
let's get it done. Let's really get it done and have enough love, compassion, and toughness that you're gonna do it. And do it right.
Trust me when I say that this entire 9-minute video is just him stringing together a bunch of vague, non-descriptive sentences that absolutely lead to no point whatsoever.
He's the greatest Scientology yapper. That's why they give him a medal. I finally get it. I have no idea what he said. I have no idea either. I'm sad they cut out his laughs, but that was like the best part.
This video was so confusing and so laughable that it started to turn Scientology into somewhat of a joke or a meme. It began to lose its sort of mysterious and almost cool and interesting luster, and yeah, people were just not taking it seriously anymore, like it was just a joke. To add fuel to the fire, South Park made an entire episode mocking Scientology. The ironic thing was, all they did
Chat, all the feelings that you feel is from aliens.
was just explain what Scientologists actually believe. Because of this episode, the Office of Special Affairs launched an investigation into Matt Stone and Trey Parker. The Scientology OSA contacted their close friends looking for any vulnerabilities to exploit.
You think they wouldn't cover their tracks and know what they were doing? Trey Parker and Matt Stone, unironically, are one of the most Giga Chad like producers I think probably the last like 20 to 40 years. They know what they're doing. You think you're just gonna call their friends and be like, oh yeah, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, yeah, we're gonna dig up some dirt on him. It's like, nope, they already know what you're doing. They've gotten death threats too over episodes.
Scientology Insider leaked this disturbing information. There's some strings that will be pulled on the PRC on Stone. Otherwise, the special collections, covert information gathering such as trash collection, purchased phone records, hacked airline reservations, purchased bank records, will be debugged in order to get some viable strings that can be pulled. Despite their efforts, they were never able to find anything about Matt and Trey Parker.
When you talk about Scientology, you're used to the response that people give you, aren't you? That you're some kind of nutcase, this kind of lunatic, fringe sort of religion thing.
Used to the response. I mean,
fly around in
that's
spaceship.
bigotry.
Well,
that is the religious equivalent of racism.
I'm putting the point to you that this is people's reaction.
No, I think maybe people say that to you. They don't say that to me.
Oh my god. He's about to lose it. Yeah, he's got that crazy. They say that to you, not to me. Yeah, because everyone's scared of you, Tom. You fucking freak.
With Scientology being scrutinized and laughed at more than ever, Tom's behavior wasn't really helpers, like Matt Lauer, wanted to learn about how Scientology affects Tom's relationships.
Katie has mentioned that she is embracing, or at least exposing herself and opening herself up to Scientology. At this stage in your life, could you be with someone who doesn't have an interest?
You know, Scientology is something that you don't understand. It's like you could be a Christian and be a Scientologist. Okay?
What?
Scientology is something.
So it doesn't replace religion.
And it is a religion because it's dealing with the spirit. You know, you as a spiritual being.
Chat?
And it's something that there's tools that you have that you apply to your life.
They then go on to discuss when Tom Cruise criticized actress Brooke Shields for taking antidepressants for postpartum depression.
And I know that psychiatry is a pseudoscience.
But Tom, if she said that
he stopped his wife from taking postpartum depression pills. That's crazy
particular
work.
thing helped her feel better, whether it was the antidepressant or going to a counselor.
Just stop feeling bad, chat. When you get depressed.
Isn't that enough?
Matt, you have to understand this. Here we are today, where I talk out against
right?
drugs and psychiatric abuses of electric shocking people, okay, against their will, of drugging children with them not knowing.
Sure, but that's totally valid. However, it also helps a lot. It does. It's not pseudoscience. Yes, we used to lobotomize people and throw them in asylums and poke them with hot rods. Yeah, but people acknowledge that and they still think that, and they know that psychiatry does help. Talking to someone about your feelings helps, Tom!
the effects of these drugs. Do you know what Adderall is? Do you know Ritalin? Do you know now that Ritalin is a street drug?
What?
Do you understand that?
Okay, pause. It's not a street drug. Okay, like, you schizo. That's not how it works. But okay. Tom Cruise was acquitted in Pipe Rock Theory? Man.
The difference is,
Madam,
this wasn't asking you a question. Madam, asking you a question.
I understand there's abuse of all of these things.
No, you see, here's the problem. You don't know the history of psychiatry. I do.
Aren't there examples, and might not Brooke Shields be an example of someone who benefited from one of those drugs?
All it does is mask the problem, Matt. And if you understand the history of it, it masks the problem. That's what it does. That's all it does. You're not getting to the reason why. There is no such thing as a chemical imbalance.
So
oh my god. The years of research people put into like figuring out how the brain works, that's not real. That's crazy. Chemical imbalances and hormones are technically chemicals, man. Everything is chemical. Your blood is chemical. Like, what do you mean?
Postpartum
No, he's
depression
right.
to you is
Oh, yeah, you're right.
kind of
You're right.
little psychological gobbledygook?
No, I did not say
Yeah,
that.
I'm just
water's
asking,
a
what
chemical.
would you
We can't
call
drink
it?
that. It's bad.
That is the post. Now you're talking about two different things.
But that's what she went on the antidepressant for.
But what happens, the antidepressant, all it does is mask the problem. There's ways of vitamins and through exercise and various things. I'm not saying that that isn't real. That's not what I'm saying. That's an alteration of what I'm saying. I'm saying that drugs aren't the answer, that these drugs are very dangerous. They're mind-altering, antipsychotic drugs. And there are ways of doing it without that so that we don't end up in a brave new world.
While Tom does make some interesting points about the potential dangers of using prescription medication, as well as claiming that it would be advantageous for us to pursue more natural remedies.
And it's funny because it's really interesting psychology that he uses here. He was obviously fed this script. He is telling the truth. America is over-medicated. They did put kids on Ritalin that didn't actually have ADHD or ADD. Or they needed, like, mild help. They didn't need to get dosed on Ritalin at, like, 600 milligrams. Absolutely. But the fucking... It's so clever what he does. And then people are like, boy, yeah, you know what? He's right. My little cousin, he got on Ritalin and it ruined his life. Maybe I should look into Scientology. He's right, you know.
It's kind of hard to take him seriously when he says that psychiatry is pseudoscience, but he also believes that paying to reach your operating thetan levels will allow you to cross the bridge into total freedom. Tom and Katie Holmes married in 2006, and from the very beginning, there were rumors about Scientology's involvement in the relationship. Cruise introduced Holmes to Scientology shortly after they started dating. Katie, who was raised Catholic, decided to convert to Scientology, which nobody was surprised. Soon after, their marriage was official. Katie Holmes was encouraged to cut ties with her previous management team and replace them with people connected to Scientology.
Oh yeah,
effectively
that's how they get into Hollywood again, like into all these industries.
Putting her career in the church's control. As time went on, Holmes became increasingly uncomfortable with Scientology's influence on their lives, particularly concerning their daughter Suri. Tom insisted that Katie deliver the baby in near silence. Following a
What? Yo, Chad, you what? In total silence? You're ripping yourself open to give birth to the child that you can't even so much as go, ah, I'm hurting, ah. Is that even possible? I don't know. Is that actually possible? I've never given birth. Like, what the fuck? Cesarean? Oh, but he doesn't believe in that, because if you do a cesarean, she would be screaming in pain because they wouldn't administer her with drugs. No breathing? Yeah, just die.
Scientology ritual meant to prevent negative experiences from being imprinted on the child's mind. This silent birthing technique is part of the belief system that the noise during childbirth would cause engrams. There were
I'm sorry, what? Yo, Tom Cruise, how about we cut open your balls and, like, you would, how would you like it if we said, hey, can you silently sit through me cutting open your balls? Yeah, because that's gonna disturb my engrams, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's gonna disturb me, therefore you should be quiet. Yeah, no drugs, you just cut open your balls. Yeah.
There were rumors that the church had plans for Suri to join the Sea Org, which really made Katie worry and realize she needed to make a change. There were rumors that she was accompanied by a Scientology handler during her public appearances who would feed her lines about how much she adored Tom, as well as the church allegedly micromanaging various aspects of their relationship.
You know what that reminds me of? Like the whole silent thing? It's like a Warhammer 40k novel. I don't know anything about it, like, lore-wise, like, hardcore lore-wise, but what if, like, through the reproduction, like, the women that give birth, they have to, like, silently give birth because it's, like, fucking you can't fucking say that. It's like, you have to be in perfect silence. You have to sit there the whole time. If you say a word, you die. They put a gun to their head.
Rumors aside, when analyzing what actually
Warhammer.
happened after their divorce is really telling.
But, like, Warhammer's hardcore is what I'm trying to say. Like, hardcore, like, fantasy setting where you're not allowed to make fucking, like, any noise while giving childbirth or something.
About the reality of their relationship. You see, while Holmes was with Tom, he still had custody of his two children. Bella and Connor are devoted to their father and Scientology, and those children never really saw their mother, Nicole Kidman.
That's
so while Katie
sad.
was with Tom, she was fearful this could happen to her child if she got a divorce. That her child would essentially be trapped in Scientology and under Tom's custody, and then she just wouldn't see her daughter. So Katie Holmes planned for months behind Tom's back and completely blindsided him with the news that she wanted a divorce, and therefore Tom and Scientology were unable to control the way that the media reported on this. When the divorce proceedings finally came out, they revealed the lengths to which Holmes went to escape Scientology and Tom's control. She had to use disposable burner phones and secret laptops to communicate.
She's smart, man. She saw what happened to the other chick. That's smart.
With her lawyers and planned her escape in fear that the church would step in and do something to her and take her daughter. She almost immediately moved to New York, which was a strategic move to secure primary custody of Suri. Scientology members were allegedly following her in New York, so out of fear she called the police because she believed church members were planning to abduct her daughter. Katie also fired her entire team that had worked for her during her marriage to Cruz, including her publicist and security detail. She had to wipe her entire life clean because of the grip Scientology had on her life. The divorce settlement was reached with Holmes securing primary custody of her daughter. Since then, she has kept her distance from Scientology and enrolled Suri in a Catholic private school. Tom has agreed to pay Holmes $400,000 per year until Suri is 18. However, he has not seen his daughter in over a decade since she and her mother are not Scientologists. Now, it is somewhat normal for a parent and child to disagree on values, especially
I was just saying that's insane, like how much money that is.
The religious ones. And there are definitely situations where conflicting religious beliefs will lead to a parent losing connection with their child. But many people just simply look at Scientology as not worth losing your child over. If you were to just look at Tom's opinions on Scientology, you would learn that it is a belief system that helped him become an incredible human being. He overcame his illness and used their teachings to accomplish his biggest life dreams, which is good for him. Since Scientology is deeply rooted in and centered around self-fulfilling prophecies, ones that coincidentally require people to pay enormous amounts of money to achieve, it's not really much of a noble cause that people respect. As reported by Vox, according to former Scientology officials, the church has continued to manage Cruz's life. Reportedly, it granted him the full benefits of its more unsavory enterprises, including the church's alleged use of slave labor. Former Scientologist John Brossow says the church has custom-built luxury vehicles and sound systems for Cruz and provides the staff who manage his many homes. Because this labor is provided by the church, it's done through the Sea Org, the Scientologist association that has been accused of human trafficking and forced labor. The church has described these claims as both scurrilous and ridiculous. The picture painted by Cruz by former members of the church is not flattering. They tend to describe Cruz as a well-meaning man who fundamentally is not not curious, and who is happy to have beautiful things handed to him without looking at their cost. Scientology is attractive to Cruz in this account because it makes his life easier while simultaneously flattering his ego with the belief that he is a hero.
Chat, when
Do
are
you
you gonna
think Tom is essentially in
When are you gonna start treating me like this? Damn.
deep? Like, yeah, maybe he does want to see his daughter, but they have too much dirt on him, and it's almost a hostage type situation.
Nah, he's a psycho.
Do you
He
think
doesn't
he
give
is
a fuck.
actually an evil man who is taking advantage of forced labor and a tax-exempt fortune? Do you think he is conveniently turning a blind eye to the alleged horrors and is going to play the whole "I was brainwashed" card when it all comes crashing down? Or maybe you think he is actually brainwashed, and he is potentially a
psycho.
victim just
He's
like every
crazy.
other Scientologist. And does it make you look at his movies or legacy any differently? Drink water.
I will do that. Thank you. Perfect timing for ads, too. Chat, when are we making our smugology? When's that gonna happen?